Hello, my name is Judy Cox and I'm GiGL's Partnership Manager. Thanks for your time today for me to tell you a bit about GiGL, who we are, the services we provide and how you can get involved. Greenspace Information for Greater London, or GiGL, is the capital's environmental record centre. We mobilise, curate and share access to data that underpin our knowledge of London's natural environment, enabling our stakeholders to make informed decisions in policy and practice. Our vision is that London's natural environment is protected, improved, understood and enjoyed for the benefit of nature and people. We're part of a network of record centres across the UK and accredited by the Association of Local Environmental Record Centres, demonstrating our proven excellence as stewards of biodiversity information. Whilst each record centre works at a local scale, elements of our data are incorporated nationally as part of the National Biodiversity Network and internationally as part of the Global Biodiversity Information Facility. We're a member of various networks and professional bodies to ensure we learn from other data-focused organisations and represent nature in Greater London at a UK and international level. The organisations that form the species data infrastructure in the UK, including all of the national schemes and societies, collaborate via the National Biodiversity Network. We share data via the NBN Atlas and utilise their data standards and tools. In addition to membership organisations focused on supporting and improving our sector, we are also a member of Social Enterprise UK. This is really important to us as it helps us to articulate our social value and impact that sets us apart from private sector organisations that give nothing back. GiGL is a community interest company, which means we reinvest all profits back into our activities to create positive social and environmental change. We're a member of various professional and community networks, including a range of private, public and voluntary sector organisations, local groups, as well as the general public. Our stakeholders work with us for a range of reasons, from complying with relevant legislation, policy and guidance, through to improving their physical and mental health. We also support the work of our project networks through access to our evidence base and related services. We believe high-quality environmental data should be accessible and usable by everyone, and supporting our extensive community networks, from members of the public to students and species recorders, free of charge, is a really important part of our day-to-day work, which is why we have 3 members of staff dedicated to working with these stakeholder groups. Organisations with an ongoing need for environmental data work with us as service-level agreement partners. They gain access to the full suite of data, information and answer services we'll outline in this presentation. Our 3 partnership officers and myself work closely with our SLA holders to meet their varying needs. We have over 50 SLA and data sharing agreement partners, including most of London's local planning authorities, the GLA and TfL, utility companies and conservation groups and charities. Outside of an SLA, organisations are unable to access GiGL datasets, but can work with us as clients by accessing some of our interpreted data products. Quality data underpins everything we do, so we have dedicated data system staff to ensure we provide London with the best quality environmental data. We can host project or partner-specific staff. Claudia is a GiGL employee but works solely with the Royal Parks, and at the moment we also have Frankie working on a project to update the ancient woodland inventory. We are governed by a board of directors who oversee the direction of the organisation and also have an advisory panel who provide expert guidance. Additionally, we're very grateful to the hard work of a growing number of volunteers who are working with us on a range of tasks such as data entry or sourcing historic maps for our ancient woodland project. GiGL is much more than a repository for biological records. I'll now take some time to explain the wide range of services we offer to our stakeholders, from data stewardship, provision, visualisation and interpretation, to support and engagement and advice and consultancy services. Data stewardship is the work that goes on behind the scenes to get quality data onto desktops and into our services. It includes collating data from stakeholders and providing advice on data standards and recording resources. GiGL maintains data sharing relationships with organisations and individuals across London, so you don't need to. Ongoing curation by our data system staff ensure our datasets are maintained in secure systems with the necessary metadata and archiving procedures in place. Continuous quality improvement of the datasets and resources and tools we use to manage them is really important. We work with a network of taxonomic experts to verify our species records and continually work to check site-based data with those who own and manage sites. A key aspect of our services is obviously data provision. Our core datasets can be divided into those relating to species, habitats and urban greening, open spaces, and protected sites. Data is provided to SLA partners in GIS formats, with updates sent once a quarter. Partners receive data for their geographic area plus a 500-metre buffer zone. Soon, we'll be able to provide updates via web map services and web feature services, and partners will be able to view those core datasets alongside context data on a specially designed partner online map portal. We can also provide data to partners' contractors under license for work outside of GiGL's remits. We'll cover how you can submit your own data to contribute to these core datasets later in the presentation. The GiGL database holds over 7 million species records. This includes designated species, such as those afforded legal protection and those with designations indicating their rarity or conservation importance, and invasive species, as defined by the London Invasive Species Initiative. Some people are surprised to learn we take records on all species, not just those of conservation value, as these too can be important, for example, for population monitoring. Partners can choose to receive bespoke extracts of the species database, for example for locally important species or for particular sites. The map shows an example of the species GIS data. Attributes include the important who, what, where and when information that makes up a record, so what was seen, where it was seen, when it was seen and by who. It also includes how accurately the data was recorded and additional information like breeding status and if it was collected as part of an official survey. We've been doing a lot of work on our habitats dataset over the last few years in preparation for its use in biodiversity net gain. It will be important for desktop surveys and provisional distinctiveness assessments, as well as incorporating the new data that will be generated through the BNG process. The image with the pink polygon shows our legacy habitats dataset, with one polygon containing multiple habitats. The new Habitats and Land Use, or HLU dataset, combines this data with Ordnance Survey master map information to give complete coverage and a single habitat per polygon. Habitats are now classified according to UK HAB, which is the new accepted standard for surveying in England and forms the basis of BNG metric calculations. GiGL also manage a dataset of local authority street and park trees, which we update in association with the Greater London Authority, and some data on urban greening features, such as living roofs and green walls. The image shown here is of GiGL's tree data alongside open data on canopy cover. GiGL's information is adding value by providing data such as tree species and age. Open spaces are important to the lives of London's residents, with access to quality spaces having proven benefits to mental and physical health. GiGL manages a London-wide database of open spaces, which includes both public and private sites. Spaces are classified according to land use, for example park or common, playing field or golf course, allotment or civic square. As you can see here, data attributes include whether or not it is open to the public, the owner and manager of the site, and designations or awards which apply, for example whether the site has a green flag. We also have a dataset of site features, including things like play and sports facilities. We've made a subset of the data available as open data. Sites to visit are those publicly accessible spaces that function as destinations for leisure, activities and community engagement. Another open dataset is the privately owned public open spaces, or POPs data. These are publicly accessible spaces provided and maintained by private developers, offices or residential building owners. The initial dataset was developed with the Guardian Cities team, but we hope to build on the current information over the next couple of years to expand its scope. London is lucky enough to have some fantastic nature sites. We are the custodians of the local wildlife site data, which in London are called Sites of Importance for Nature Conservation, or SINCs. We work closely with London's planning authorities to ensure our dataset reflects designations of these 1,660 sites in their local plans. In a similar way to SINCs, we also work with the LPAs to manage a London-wide dataset of greenbelt, metropolitan open land and designated public open spaces. Statutory nature designation data, such as SSSIs, is managed by Natural England, but we work to update and improve this data behind the scenes. We hold the definitive dataset of geodiversity for London and also curate and hold a citation for each site, in which we work closely with the London Geodiversity Partnership. In our role as custodians of London's SINC data, we can guide partners through the data requirements for all stages of the review and adoption process, from providing survey data standards guidance, to advising on the approval process by the London Wildlife Sites Board, to working with local authorities to finalise SINC boundaries and citations. Once proposed sites are public, so at Reg 18 stage, GiGL incorporates the new data into our p-SINC layer, and it's then included in our data search reports for consultants, so that proposed sites can be considered as soon as possible within decision making. Not only does GiGL provide data, but we can help our stakeholders visualise the data too, whether that be for publishing informal planning documents or site management plans, or communicating project outcomes. Our data lends itself to making beautiful maps. Site-based data can be displayed alongside context datasets, such as in the example here showing open spaces alongside topography and rivers. We use heat maps to represent species records in a generalised way, showing the density and distribution of records without giving away sensitive information about exact location. Although SLA partners are permitted to receive our species point datasets under licence, these cannot be shared with the wider community, as releasing details to the public could result in environmental harm. Therefore, a heat map is a good way to share data with a wider audience without displaying specific location information. Community recorders would be able to use these maps to see where species records are lacking and where more surveys are needed. Heat maps have also been used by some partners in public-facing action plans. They allow planners and developers to get an idea of where species tend to be active or are recorded, so extra precautions can be considered as part of the planning process. Additionally, these maps can show where targeted efforts need to be made to secure suitable mitigation as part of any planning discussions or conditions. There are a few different types of heat map which GiGL can create, some of which are shown here. Other examples in this page include showing species records by taxonomic group in a site in Hainault Forest and mapping the results of goose counts in the Wandle Valley. We can also create web maps to display information online. For example, we've worked with the Environment Agency to create this online map showing river restoration opportunities for London Rivers Week. Layers can be clicked on and off, and pop-up boxes display additional information for sites or projects. Infographics are a great way to hide sensitive ecological data, capture the reader's eye, and simplify technical information for display to the public. The possibilities are endless, so if you have an idea of what information you'd like to convey, speak to us and we'll enjoy coming up with something creative. Examples here include communicating ecological site information for a Green Flag Award submission in Hackney, and presenting wildlife crime statistics, which we do on behalf of the Metropolitan Police. Another service we provide is data interpretation. This can take the form of providing data analysis or statistics for a species group or selected location, or providing data summaries. GiGL's data search reports include information on species, habitats, open spaces, and statutory and non-statutory sites in a 1 or 2 kilometres radius area. Aimed at our non-partner clients, such as ecological consultancies working on new developments, they provide information on the existing evidence base and context for a site, which are both important elements for assessing the potential ecological impact of a development project. Our data interpretation products are useful resources for those stakeholders who don't have the resources to critique the GIS data themselves. We have a number of model datasets available to our stakeholders. A key one for London is modelled areas of deficiency in access to different types of sites. The map here shows AOD and access to nature, which the London Plan defines as areas more than 1 kilometre walking distance from an accessible SINC of borough grade or above. We map 1 kilometre along walkable roads and paths from site access points to give a really accurate picture of areas classified as deficient. Here, the purple are areas deficient in access to nature. We can model the current situation, but also predict how on-the-ground changes will change AOD, such as by increasing access to a site or enhancing its nature value. The green areas show a reduction in AOD based on proposed changes by the London Borough of Merton. We have datasets of AOD for different categories of public open space and can do bespoke modelling to show deficiency in access to other types of sites, such as play spaces. We can also make AOD even more tangible by comparing it to population data to tell our stakeholders how many residential properties are within areas classified as deficient. Biodiversity Hotspots for Planning is a model dataset we've made open to show the high ecological importance of areas of London, in the hope it encourages GiGL's evidence base to be consulted in development planning decisions. Hotspots areas indicate a detected presence of sensitive biodiversity that could potentially be affected by development. An ecological network is a collection of high-quality wildlife sites and associated surrounding habitats, which are diverse and large enough to support species and which have ecological connections between them that enable species or release their genes to move. This is our newly developed ecological network map for London. GiGL's network map methodology uses our habitats and land use data combined with the BNG distinctiveness scoring system to display the ecological value of different habitats, thus highlighting London's ecological network. At the detailed level, you can see how we can use this data and our data on protected sites within GIS modelling techniques to calculate linkages of least resistance between areas of high habitat value through the rest of the matrix. These linkages are the important corridors of movement that should be enhanced as much as possible. Ecological network mapping can, for example, help to identify areas of local strategic significance for BNG and opportunity areas for recovering and enhancing biodiversity for local nature recovery strategies. This map shows areas of existing acid grassland alongside areas modelled as suitable for expanding or restoring relict acid grassland or creating new habitat. As part of a 2010 project with the previous London Biodiversity Partnership, we modelled suitability like this for all of London's BAP habitats. We plan to repeat this kind of suitability mapping for London priority habitats using our new habitats database. This will be another key resource for the London local nature recovery strategy. The next service category is support and engagement in recording. Discover London is our online mapping aimed at members of the public. On here you can access a range of map datasets encouraging Londoners to learn about wildlife crime, find their recording area, explore London's waterways or see the city's landscape classifications. The website also provides a platform for people to discover accessible wildlife sites and find out about nearby parks and other open spaces. For some people, recording wildlife is a hobby. For others, it's an important part of their work. Whatever the motivation, GiGL's work would not be possible without the many recorders in London. There's a range of ways we support wildlife recorders, including putting their records in context with others and with other datasets. The map in the bottom corner shows some gap analysis for a London Natural History Society recorder of flies. By highlighting areas without records, they've been able to target new areas for survey. We hold an annual London Day of Nature event each autumn to celebrate nature in the capital. It provides an opportunity for the wider community to come together to hear about current projects and latest thinking. We can create bespoke online recording forms for either a species or groups of species. The example shown here is collecting data on water voles and mink for use within London's water vole recovery project. We engage with London's regional environmental agenda, acting as advocate for London environmental data needs and successes and connecting people within our wider network. We represent our partnership and London data within such groups as the London Boroughs Biodiversity Forum, London's Urban Forestry Partnership and London's Green Infrastructure Partnership. The last of the 6 services available to stakeholders is advice and consultancy. A GiGL SLA provides access to our staff expertise to advise on the available data and how it can be used. We're happy to comment on local plans and other strategic planning documents, ensuring data gets the mentions it deserves. We can also provide training to stakeholders, such as use of the core datasets within different GIS systems. We can act as consultants to undertake key pieces of research. Examples include the pivotal London Garden City research, which examined the rate at which private garden green space is being lost, and the biodiversity evidence better outcomes from planning research, whose aim was to understand the challenges, limitations and needs of local planning authorities in London with regard to taking account of biodiversity in planning, and to provide resources to help them overcome any barriers. We're currently working on updating the ancient woodland inventory in London in partnership with Natural England and the Woodland Trust. This has involved in-depth analysis of current and historic maps as well as a ground survey programme. Whilst we don't currently have the skills to undertake biological surveys in-house, we can plan and coordinate survey work utilising our vast network of expert surveyors and taxonomic specialists. To finish, I'd like to spend a few minutes explaining how you can get involved in supporting our work. Firstly, actively manage your SLA. A borough-sized SLA comes with 24 hours of staff time for us to complete bespoke requests, and a London-wide agreement 96 hours. At the start of each quarter, we'll send a summary of the hours used so far alongside your data exchange. We'll also send an infographic of the types of services you're accessing. Work with us to plan work throughout the year. We're always happy to meet to discuss your upcoming plans and how we can help. Make sure your colleagues know about the SLA and the suite of services available to them. Secondly, share your data with us. We have an easy-to-use online form for submitting one-off records and can supply a standardised spreadsheet for those collecting records on a more frequent basis. We can also use some of your SLA hours to help mobilise paper-based records. Also, engage in our online surveys. For example, at the moment, we have an online form to create data on tree planting and woodland creation to inform a project we're completing with CPRE London on woodland connectivity and opportunity areas in London's Greenbelt. Encourage those you work with to supply their data to us too, so it can be added to the centralised resource and provided to you in your data exchanges. We have developed a range of survey guidelines for all of our core datasets, which are available on our websites. Aside from sharing data and encouraging others to share data too, the main way you can help GiGL is to be an ambassador for our services. We need help promoting use of our data, primarily in the commissioning of our data search reports by consultants working on planning applications. Nature conservation is a material consideration in the planning process, which means that it should be taken into account when planning new developments. When a development has the potential to harm nature, appropriate impact assessment should be undertaken, which, according to best practice professional standards, should include information from a data search report from the local Environmental Record Centre. In 2016, a project by the Mayor of London concluded that about 18% of planning applications in London should have been supported by a biodiversity data search. In 2021, we estimate less than 2% were. The fees we charge our commercial clients for data searches is important funding, allowing us to work for our community networks free of charge and heavily subsidises charges for our SLA partners. If we're able to increase uptake of our data searches, we'll be able to invest in a rigorous survey and monitoring programme for London, which will be of huge benefit to all our stakeholders, as well as nature conservation in London in general. Not all organisations in London that should have access to our data and services have an SLA with us. We'd appreciate you being an ambassador for the importance of our services when talking to non-partners. There's an up-to-date list of these organisations on our website. Lastly, keep in touch. Follow us on social media and retweet relevant posts to your followers. We're active on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn and Instagram, and also have a YouTube channel where we post training videos. We also publish a monthly newsletter which keeps our readers up to date with projects across GiGL as a whole, as well as an SLA Spotlight email bulletin aimed at communicating partner-specific service developments. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at julie.cox@gigl.org.uk.